And we are live.
All right.
We're live with an empty seat today.
2/3. 2/3 live.
2/3 of a podcast. Johnny Rip Rip is on his way in and will be joining us momentarily. Jimmy is off today as we're out of town for the weekend. Jimmy is off today. But before we get into that, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, did you have a good weekend?
I actually had a good weekend, yeah. While you guys were hanging out in Del Mar doing business, I was at the NFL draft.
Yes. So the NFL draft was this last week, and it was here in Las Vegas, and it took over the Strip. It was it was amazing to me how they broke like everything down and had different stages, different places, and different activations. I saw this thing that like there was a discussion with the commissioner that was like one of their like side interviews. It wasn't on the broadcast. It was like on the web only version, and he was talking about how the backdrop here really gives a lot of capabilities to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And think about this. And before we get going, but think about this for a minute. You couldn't put the name Super Bowl at any of the casinos.
Right, you can't, still can't.
Right? You couldn't mention the NFL in anything, on anything that had to do with Las Vegas.
Right.
And now we host the Pro Bowl, the draft, and in 2 years we have the Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible how fast things move around, right?
It's very weird, how that worked out.
So the draft was fun. It was a great experience, a lot of fun for Las Vegas. And people that attended the draft really, really enjoyed it. There was a lot to do. That's obviously a big thing, right?
Yes, it was fun. Panini had a booth set up there too, so it was kind of cool. You can go get NFTs. They had a thing where you can go there, scan, make your own NFTs. You can make your own card. So they had you stand in front of a screen and you guys make your own Prism card, which was pretty cool too. So a lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, the activation thing is really fun. These events, like it really is. It's a week-long event. It's not just one day. It's not just Thursday. It wasn't just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's literally it starts on Wednesday and it goes until Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's what the action of the town was. And Vegas is a place that could do it. They shut a portion of the Strip down.
They did. They shut a portion of the Strip down, which made it hectic for traveling. But the good thing is that they kind of pushed everything on the left side to Spring Mountain, and they got rid of the construction because everyone knows that from Vegas. If you drive to Vegas, Spring Mountain has been shut down for months and months with its construction cones. They opened that up, so it made it a lot easier flowing with traffic. But there was still parts that were kind of rough.
Yeah, they definitely have that. But we get the pleasure of having these things and getting to do these events and stuff. But let's actually get into the draft.
Yes.
Because it was a very interesting draft, to say the least. And so I have the first 16 picks in the draft. I thought that was really important for us to discuss.
Yeah.
And go over. And so Trayvon Walker goes number 1 overall.
Surprising.
Which was kind of a surprise, right?
Yeah, right before the draft, he was the favorite to be picked number 1, right? And I'm talking about a couple hours before the draft. Yeah. But I was surprised still that they went Trayvon Walker. I don't know. I mean, it could work out for them. I just didn't see that happening if you would ask me a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Good player, really good defensive player.
Right.
He's definitely going to be perennial Pro Bowl type player. They got one of the best guys in the draft. There was a 1A, 1B scenario.
Right.
I would argue there's a 1C. Again, there's this West Coast bias against West Coast college teams that don't play on primetime levels.
I agree.
Because Thibodeau, if you saw Thibodeau play and understood his skill set, he's probably the most ready.
Yeah.
Right? Of all of the guys.
I felt like he should have been in play for the 1, but they weren't even talking about him for number 1.
Right. Well, he was number 1 until about, I don't know, week 8 of the college season when they lost to Utah. Was it week 8?
Yeah.
They lost to Utah, and then all of a sudden, and then Utah again in the bowl game did the same thing to them, which is they triple teamed him, kept him from being able to get in.
But Hutchinson also had a rough bowl game.
He did, but it's Michigan. See, and that's the difference. There's the bias, right? The bias goes, you went to Oregon? No. You go to Michigan? Sure. And so, when that happens, all of a sudden, there you are, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're set. You've got a little bit of, you got a little bit of a bias there. Just it's there. You guys know it. We all know it. This is not a secret. Right. There's definitely a bias to the East Coast teams and those teams that travel, primarily Midwest, East. That they get seen a little bit more. Those players get a little more visibility. But I'm not here to argue that. What's glaring here, right, was. What was it since 2000? Was it 2013 that a quarterback wasn't taken in the top 10?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And now you had a quarterback not go till 20th.
Right.
That's why I only went to 16 on this list. Because there's not a quarterback here.
I wish Jimmy was here so I could argue with him and explain my case of what I said. These quarterbacks is not a good quarterback class. I told him this is not a good, I said, I'll be surprised if 2 quarterbacks get drafted in the first round. And he said that 5 would go because teams would start panicking and trading up. And I said, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Did I think that these guys would fall as far as they did? No. I did not think that. I thought they would be like early second-round picks.
Right.
Some of these guys dropped to the 3rd or 5th round.
Yeah, crazy.
Right.
If you listen to my Whatnot shows, people in here, but I've been saying Ritter was my top guy, but I was surprised he went ahead of Willis. That was kind of shocking to me.
It was, and where he settled.
Yeah, it's good for him.
Was really
Yeah.
good. And that's a unique situation because a similarity to him and Mariota.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely,
So there's
absolutely.
a similarity for sure. So why not?
Learn from a
But
guy
we're
that
sitting
has
there day
similar
2 going, all right, it's foregone. Falcons are moving up. They're taking Willis. They got way with day 1. They're taking Willis. They're taking Willis. And then all of a sudden, they don't move up.
Yeah.
They stay pat, and then they take Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder if maybe Willis didn't do as good in the interview process as because everything else was lined up for him.
leading up to that.
Yeah.
And he's even a good guy.
Yeah.
And the character flaws aren't there, and all of these things that you look for. But we don't know how he interviewed. And these stories come out after, so maybe we'll see it.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see these stories.
Well, I don't know. I believe him and Coral were in the green room day 1.
Yes.
And how that process works is, and I saw a tweet. So how this process works for NBA, NFL, there's GMs that are in charge. They essentially pull all the GMs. There's a couple GMs that are the president of this selection committee that says, hey, X amount. In the NBA, it's 20. NFL, I believe it's 25. You're invited to the green room, which means you're almost for sure a first-round pick.
They wouldn't bring you there
Correct.
If you weren't.
So who led these guys on to believe that they were going to be first-round picks to even have them in the green room in the first place? And what happened, if so, to change that? So that's what I wonder.
I'm guessing that the pure thought was we have to have some quarterbacks in there just because we need to have that for TV. We can't not invite any quarterbacks to come in the green room. So they might have been the 24th and the 25th invitation.
Or it was, hey, one quarterback's going to go. We don't know which, so let's have them all here.
That's what I think. I think that they know that there's going to be at least a quarterback going, and they didn't know which one of those 3 guys, and that's why.
And maybe that's the stigma of the quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
Right.
And,
I saw a ton of mock drafts right before leading up to the draft that had Coral going to the Detroit Lions with a 32nd pick. The last pick of the first round, and then as you all saw, they traded that pick to move up to get Williams. So that's maybe the thought process is that there was a chance he was going to get, but once they traded that pick away, that was gone.
Sure. It was wow.
It was definitely crazy as you run through the list and you start looking at guys. So you had defensive players taken all the way up to pick number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Your first offensive tackle came off Evan Neal, right? And then here come the receivers.
Yeah.
So at 8, Drake London goes. At 10th, Garrett Wilson goes. At 11th, Olave goes. Then at 12th, you had Williams go. And then here comes the defensive guys again, right? And then at 16, you had Jalen Dotson go. So you guys, the receivers, obviously, they were the big deal here.
Yeah.
That was obviously, one of those things that I think that wasn't a surprise. I think the order the receivers went in was a huge surprise to people.
Yeah.
Because there were guys that went, like Williams going at 12 kind of blew people away. They're like, yo, this kid wasn't the 5th best receiver on Ohio State.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And here he is, because he had one good year, right? That
Right.
You know?
I mean, he didn't. He was at Ohio State, which is crazy. I said in the group chat.
He was-
3
he
Buckeyes
was for 1
receivers
year,
in a
yeah.
row.
3 in a row.
2. 2 at Ohio
there's 2
State.
at Ohio
Yes,
State.
2 at Ohio
One.
State.
2 at Ohio
2 at Ohio
State.
State. And he did nothing.
he was the 5th option. He was
Yeah.
the 5th guy. He was behind everybody.
Yeah.
And is Ohio State become a wide receiver?
It's crazy. I mean, it's
definitely not a-
loading up every
Definitely
year.
not
It
a
seems like.
quarterback you.
No, not yet. Not
Taking
yet.
shots again.
Not yet.
I'm just being honest.
But seriously, like the thing that really got me thinking about this draft, because us, we also come from a different space, right? Not only do we come from the sports world, but we also come from the sports card world.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have to consider that. So when we're thinking about this, we look at this. I wonder if this is going to start to turn the tide a little bit on if the value of a wide receiver is so big to the NFL. Is the value of the wide receiver going to be this big to collectors moving forward? And I actually will argue that they probably will. And that means that you're going to see guys going back, and they're going to start loading up on Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, these guys in the last few draft classes. Because those guys all would have went ahead of all of this draft class.
Sure.
Well, it's funny you mentioned those 2 guys in particular because, like, when you go back and look at it, the stigma is that receivers take a couple years to catch on, learn the playbook. But then you see in the last 2 years, Justin Jefferson dominated his rookie year, Jamar Chase dominated his rookie year. So you're starting to see that trend kind of churn. You know what I mean? And the trend is getting away from running backs in the first round.
And I think tight ends are following close behind it. I almost feel like the tight end is becoming more popular than the running back position.
There was 17
really
tight
is.
ends drafted in the first 3 rounds. The first 3 full rounds.
Some of those guys,
tight ends.
This
that are
year?
coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And some of those guys that are
Not
coming
all
in,
offensive. Not all offensive. Some of the guys were obviously blocking ones, but in the first
Wow.
maybe 4
I
rounds.
thought the first guy, McBride, was off the board, right? In the second round? He was
Yeah.
the first one off the board. Got it.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And they,
Where,
and
like,
they took him in a spot where there's already a logjam there. So you know
Yeah,
what I
with
mean? So,
Ertz, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, not only Ertz, but like Ertz at that position, but all the receivers they have.
Oh, sure.
They now
Yeah.
got Marquise
Yep.
Browns,
Yep.
and
Yep.
they run a lot of 4 receiver
Right.
sets in Arizona.
Yep.
So now you're talking about 4 receiver sets, and you have Zach Ertz there, so
Right.
he's not going to make an immediate impact.
Right,
He's
yeah.
the quote unquote best tight end available.
But it
Sure.
tells you how teams are thinking.
Yeah.
It shows you that. And not only does it do that, but product will do that too. And to coincide with the draft was the relief of Bowman U this week. And this is something that this isn't in the investment segment, but this is definitely a little bit of investment advice for people, which is Topps told you exactly what they are going to do moving forward with product. So when Fanatics acquires the license and has the NFL license and the brand,
Yes.
you're going to know exactly what they're going to do, because in the product, they put the Bowman Chrome first, they put first and a prospect card.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all of these players we're talking about, the first box I opened, 3 Olaves in
There
it,
you go.
right? Like, I can tell you now, they've told you what they're going to do. So I'm just.
It's very
you guys
cool.
know, don't
It's very
sleep
cool.
on it.
It's very cool.
Do not sleep on the
It's
product,
very cool.
because it used to not be fun to have the collegiate guy, because we were looking at the top draft picks only. Now you're getting all of college football,
Which is awesome.
You're getting all the guys that are still playing, right? Spencer Rattler's in the
Yeah,
product,
yep.
right?
CJ Stroud. Is Stroud in there?
Stroud
he
is in there. The kid from Utah is in there. Like, these guys are all in there, right? They're all in the product. They have autos. They're all live. Like, and then obviously the parallels and everything. It's just the draft in the NFL is telling you where the value is in our industry, and our industry is telling you how they are going to position product moving forward.
Right.
You got all the information you needed in 1 week this week.
It's very
the
cool.
NFL
Yeah.
for the next few years. You might as well take advantage of it. This might be a good time now. But the wide receivers, I mean, they continued and continued and continued. I don't know how many wide receivers got drafted, but it was an unreal number, right?
I didn't find out on the
It
wide
tells
receivers.
you how many, though, how
Yeah.
important it was.
I know
one of
what-
them wasn't Justin Ross, which was coming off that
So,
cervical.
yeah, you see, he signed with the Chiefs. Yeah, he
Yeah.
signed with the Chiefs, but only 3 teams cleared him. 3 teams cleared him. That's
yeah.
it. 3 teams cleared him and said, hey, you're fit to play in the NFL, which is crazy to me. Obviously, I guess it was the Chiefs, Steelers, and I don't know the third team, because the Steelers doctor's the one that did the surgery on him. But that's pretty scary. It's a neck,
scary.
A neck thing, a cervical thing. That's
Kind of what happened
that's pretty
with
scary.
Sterling Sharp when
Yeah.
he was playing. So
Yep,
that is kind of scary.
I mean, great receiver, but 3 teams clear him. That's yikes. Not good.
So let me ask you guys this, because this isn't going to be all draft talk, but I definitely wanted to talk about the draft today. What is your most questionable pick in the draft?
Oh my Lord.
The most questionable pick.
Yeah, what did you?
I mean, I know the Patriots got absolutely crushed for taking that lineman from Chattanooga
Right.
in the first round, and I know a lot of Patriots fans weren't happy about it.
I was pissed with the Cowboys pick. We can talk about that. Like I felt like we were gift wrapped Jermaine Johnson. Like he just kept falling, and this is a guy that they had projected in the top 10, and he just kept falling and falling and falling, and we had one team to get by, and they didn't take him, and I was like, this is it. Like, I get it. I know that the Cowboys need offensive linemen. I know that.
Yeah.
But you're already talking about the top 5 offensive linemen being gone. So,
But let's be fair.
Why press?
That pick of an offensive lineman for the most penalized offensive line in the NFL was the most penalized offensive lineman
he had
in
12
college football.
penalties, 12 penalties last year. So, of course, Twitter loved it because Twitter was. They were showing highlights, and everyone's like, all I see is 12 holds on that. And I was like, here we go. Like, here we go again. Like, I just don't understand the thought process.
Hang it up, Jerry.
I just don't think, I know it's the thought process. I was like, what? I was so mad that I was like, you know what? Screw this. I don't care. Like, our draft is a loss. I was pissed after round 1.
I was
pissed after round 1.
I think everyone's going to question that Jaguars pick, and unless the guy becomes an absolute stud.
Walker,
that's what I think everyone's just going to, Mel Kiper's like, you do this, you guys better be right, because you can't whiff at number 1.
Be prepared.
Compare
those guys.
The question becomes, though, because this reminds me a lot of like when Nick Bosa came out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that Nick Bosa kind of went a few picks later than they thought he should have, and all this. The situation that they were picking in was 6 months more of maturity, was kind of what they're looking at, and seeing if this guy was a lot more mature in his work ethic and all this stuff. That may be the difference here, right? Whereas Hutchinson was already locked in on what he was going to be. There was that little tick of maybe potential upside with Walker, and maybe they saw that in him. Maybe they interviewed him, we didn't, right?
Yeah.
To touch point on that specific type scenario, there's a lot of times that things go into play here that we don't realize. One that I'll kind of champion really quick, the Kenny Pickett pick going to Pittsburgh was perfect for Pittsburgh because they've got a ton of local cheerleaders already with him because he went to Pitt.
Yeah.
Right? And he is prototypically the quarterback that they put into their system.
Right.
And I like guys when they end up in a system.
Small hands. And they say
hands.
Smallest hands ever.
Ever. Yeah.
I mean, that worries me. That worries me. I'm a measurables guy. Yes, right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, come December, like the ball's going to feel a little bit more plump.
The small hands worried me about him.
Well, and again, the small hand thing though, it's so. I mean, it's hardly any difference between him and Burrow. Literally hardly any difference between him and Burrow. I just don't want to get too worked up about that. We'll see. He did fumble a little bit, and that is my one concern. He fumbled a little bit.
Which is what the knock on Danny Dimes was. When Daniel Jones came out, he fumbled, and he continued to do that in the NFL.
Danny Dimes just can't stay healthy. He's
but
constantly got his helmet off.
He also fumbles a lot. I just thought that all the quarterbacks that we kind of talked about before the draft all landed, even though they weren't first-round picks or second-round picks, they all kind of landed where they're in good situations. Like Malik Willis dropping to the third round, goes to the Titans, right?
Yep.
Where they just re-signed Tannehill for his extension. So now he gets to kind of sit and learn a little bit, right? And then he gets to kind of take over. He doesn't have to jump right into the fire.
But I'll argue that you just signed Tannehill to his extension. Does that actually hurt the relationship with Tannehill?
No, I don't think it does because I think it's going to be Tannehill's job this year, and then Tannehill.
I just hope there was
32.
And he wasn't good last year.
Right.
Tannehill wasn't good last year.
I mean, all Tannehill's done is win. I'll argue this with you. He went to Miami, played on a bad team, and won.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hands the ball great. He hands the ball fantastically.
Doesn't matter.
I know. He's a good handoff guy.
Right? There's guys that have rings.
I agree.
Because they've done what the team needs.
There's a lot of guys that come and hand the ball off great.
Yeah. But I did think that was a good pick. Good landing spot for him. And the Trubisky thing, now this is kind of like, hey, you know what? Here's our flyer on Trubisky.
Yep.
Trubisky doesn't get it done. We're already in a spot where we're rebuilding anyways, and we got a guy that locals are going to rally around, whether we're 0-7 or whatever.
That's what sucks for Trubisky is that, and I know it's his own fault because he's not that good of a quarterback, but you're looking to have fans like clamoring for Kenny Pickett week 2.
Yeah, well, he might beat him out in camp, if he beats him out in camp.
But if they decide to roll with the vet first, they're going to...
First interception, there you go.
Yep. Kenny Pickett. You've seen it every time someone grabs like a hometown guy. But
I mean, that was when they drafted Manziel. Everyone still wanted Hoyer in Cleveland. It was Hoyer.
Yes.
I mean, hey, they ended up being right. But two things real quick on the quarterback thing, if you guys saw. The Eagles made Carson Strong like one of the highest paid undrafted free agents ever, which is super interesting to me, right?
Yes.
$300,000 guaranteed and $20K guaranteed signing bonus. Like, wow, how interesting is that?
Yes.
I mean, is that like not a belief in Hurts, or I know he's got that knee issue and that's why he went undrafted, but
I wonder if that situation though is just purely that there was other people calling.
Well, when you get that late in the draft, 5th, 6th, it's better to even go undrafted at that point because you pick where you want to go and you can make more money. Look, I mean, that's a huge contract to give an undrafted kid.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, again, are they not confident in Hurts? Is it, hey, we'll take a flyer on this kid because he would have been a top quarterback minus the knee injury? I don't know. I just thought that was very interesting.
Ever since they drafted Hurts, they haven't felt confident in him. But they went out and got A.J. Brown undrafted.
Yeah, that's big.
They showed you they were definitely moving forward from their playoff appearance, which, I mean, I sat here and said Kirk Cousins should not have been in the Pro Bowl, and Jalen Hurts should have been in the Pro Bowl over Kirk Cousins. It was that type of a year for him. It was close enough. He probably should have been a reserve Pro Bowler.
Well, they're giving him the weapons now.
This could be a make or break year.
Yeah.
Right. You made the playoffs with what you had, right, which wasn't very much.
Right.
Now we're giving you A.J. Brown to go along with Devontae Smith.
Yep.
If you stumble and don't make the playoffs or you don't win the division, it could be an outside looking in. So this could be like a make or break year. That's what made me so mad about the Cowboys pick is because the Eagles got better when they went out and got A.J. Brown, right, without giving up too much.
Right.
I felt like the Giants annihilated the first round. The 2 picks they got in the top 10, I was like, fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at the Commanders, who went out and got their quarterback, but not to the 5th round. Two punters were taken ahead of Sam Howell.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. The punt god? Was the punt god one of them? That guy from the Bills? See this guy? The punt god, they call him.
Incredible. But they go out and get the guy from North Carolina to basically fill in for Wentz when he gets hurt, which was inevitable because he's going to get hurt. Like, spoiler alert, guys, he's going to get hurt.
Rappaport says, like, the Commanders are absolutely fawning, drooling in love with Carson Wentz, which I don't understand. But
that's fine.
That's crazy to me.
It's
crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And then lastly, the Browns not being able to move Baker was super interesting.
So that was going to be my knock. My knock was the Browns not moving Baker, but even worse, when you acquired Watson, you should have been drafting a quarterback, and you should have been trading a quarterback.
No, I guess they can't. I guess nobody wants him. Well, they signed Brissett. Like, Baker's not even the backup. Brissett is the backup, and they've said Brissett's the backup. So what crazy is this?
That's the thing. When they acquired Deshaun, they could have moved him then.
Yep.
He would have been a Carolina Panther.
Houston didn't want him.
Might have went to Pittsburgh then. They would have been able to move him, and instead,
I think
they didn't make the move, and they lost the opportunity to, and they're going to have to release him, and it's going to be this week.
So they talked about it this morning on NFL Network, and they said it's a contingency plan. If Deshaun gets suspended, Baker will automatically be the starter.
Oh, that's great for Baker.
But and if Baker doesn't show up to camp, they could. I mean, he's guaranteed $18 million, right? They could yank his money, yank his signing bonuses. So like Baker's in a lose spot. Like he's got to show up or he's losing money. Yeah, he's. I mean, true.
You got to remember the guys that made the big appearances.
Baker isn't hurting. He's not hurting.
Well, they said for Carolina Panthers too is that even though they drafted Coral, that they said don't be surprised if they look to add another veteran quarterback. And they mentioned Foles, Baker Mayfield, or
Minshew.
No. It was actually somebody decent too. It was Foles, Baker Mayfield, and one other quarterback. Go ahead.
Garoppolo.
Yeah, Jimmy G. And one of those 3 guys, they said, don't be surprised if Carolina goes to add one of those guys.
Well, and so
I think they should. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought Garoppolo up because something's going to have to be in the move on Garoppolo here, right?
Yeah.
Because
the
Niners and again, I don't care what this pick is. Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, they drafted. Yeah, quarterback. Yeah.
Quarterback to the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
You took the last pick you had in the draft and spent it on a wild card quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why?
Why would
There's
Trey
no
Lance
why.
is 21 years old?
Right.
Like,
Why do that? Why do that? So it tells me, at least the way I see it, they're looking at, we are moving forward with
Lance.
Mm-hmm. We are going to get a young guy to position as the number 2. Mm-hmm. We are going to move Garoppolo. So I still think that deal is going to happen. I think, unfortunately, it's going to be some type of release or some type of future, prospect in 23 draft or something, something, or 24 draft, something, and they're not going to get a second, third rounder they were hoping for. It's probably going to be like a fourth, fifth rounder,
of course.
And that's what they're going to end up with a guy that,
of course,
healthy, is one of the winningest quarterbacks.
100%.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
When he's
One of the winningest, like top 5 winningest quarterbacks
it's
ever.
Crazy, but that is the case.
Have they come out and said Lance is the starter? I don't think they have, right? So that's interesting.
But that's also very John Lynch.
Yeah.
John Lynch doesn't share anything.
right.
There's no news out about anything ever from the 49ers. You can never find out.
Right.
Hey, is Bosa? Talk to the doctor.
And they said Debo wants a trade. They said they're confident they'll work something out with Debo. I mean, that's a mess.
I read one really weird thing, which was the Debo Samuel situation. Could be a situation where they move Debo but package Garoppolo with him.
There you go.
In the package to another franchise that then would return them some additional value in the deal because they'd be getting Debo Samuel also.
Wow.
The Jets got to be out now, right? Because the Jets went ahead and drafted. I think the Jets got to be out now on that because they were the front runners for that, and then they traded they drafted both their picks. So I thought it was going to be their second pick.
Jets did well.
Yeah.
I think
the Jets did well also. I think it was funny too to note on the experience, at the NFL experience when we went to the draft. There was a meet and greet. Mm-hmm. No autographs, but a meet and greet with Debo Samuel, and I was just thinking, man, I was like, how many times do you think he'll
poor
get
guy.
About
Yeah,
I was
poor
like,
guy.
what bad timing.
Yeah.
For that,
Poor
guy. The guy's in there for an hour taking pictures and meet and greets.
Don't leave.
I bet you was
Come to
asked,
my team
1,000 times, like, where are you going to get traded to? Where are you going? Like, that must be so annoying.
Yeah. That's funny.
Now, Goldman made a point really quick before we switch to the NFL. He said that the Eagles have 2 first-rounders next year if they don't decide if Hurts is their number 1. Mm-hmm. And that's interesting because 2 number 1s trades up to a top pick in the draft at any position, and there's at least 3 guys that we can think of that are going in the top 10 next year.
For sure.
There's 3 guys for sure are going in the top 10 next year, barring injury.
And don't forget the kid they got behind Hurts, Minshew.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done nothing but put up great numbers in an awful Jacksonville situation. Right. The games he started last year, he won and was phenomenal.
Now put him with AJ Brown.
Yeah, I mean, geez, like I love Minshew, and again, like he's proved to me he could start in this league. I mean, he started half a season in Jacksonville as a rookie, was great, and again, he won in Philly. So I don't know. Philly's an interesting situation.
It's very interesting.
And then the kid they just, Carson Strong, they just undrafted quarterback.
I think
Christian
Desmond Ritter. He asked if we've thought that he would beat out Mariota this year. There's absolutely no chance he plays this year, in my opinion.
He's old. He's old.
He doesn't. But here's the thing: he doesn't play this year because the Falcons are not going to put a quarterback out there if they believe in him without building enough around him to be able to at least have some type of competition. And Mariota is going to be running for his life most of the season.
Yeah.
Correct.
They don't have a good offensive line at all.
Because what's going to happen is he's going to go in there and he's going to struggle big time, and then it's going to bring his confidence down. You don't want to do that to a rookie. They just released their running back too, Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't rule it out. Because he's an older prospect.
I know, but barring injury,
he's one.
The thing is that he's the guy that you go the 1 year. At this point, Mariota just got told it's a 1-year deal, not 2. Right? It's a 1-year deal. He is going to be there to let Ritter come in behind, or Falcons will be picking at the top of the draft and taking the bell of the ball, right?
Yeah, they should be bad. Yeah, the Falcons should be pretty bad.
They'll be pretty bad this year.
They will.
Their division, everybody got better.
Yep.
So, which includes, and real quick, we didn't even mention it, Tyrann Mathieu is going to be a Saint.
Yeah, that's big pickup.
Cody is going to be excited.
Big pickup for them. Big pickup for them.
So their defense, which was already a top 5 defense in the league, now is pushing themselves to the top of the league.
He replaces Jenkins immediately.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great pickup by them.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Del Mar this weekend. We were set up for the Union Marketplace show. We had a great time out there. The guys. We had an incredible setup. We could see that. Jimmy could see it too, as he thought it was funny that Mike was just standing in the background doing nothing, but Mike was actually going.
He's watching a movie. Give him a break. Give him a break, Jimmy.
Which is great. But in Del Mar, we got to host trade night. The trade night was not traditional. So GameDay hosted the trade night, which was at the Paddock Arena, which was outside at the opening to the racetrack.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. We were right there. Tables everywhere. There was tons of people out there. The weather was beautiful. It was really neat. Had a DJ. Got to host the event. Did some fun giveaways with the big sponsor for the event, which was Drip. And got to do that. But there was a lot of trades that went on, a lot of things that happened, people everywhere. And the weekend itself was just a great time.
Great.
Incredible backdrop. And they told us they're running it back October 14th.
Wow.
So the weekend after the Las Vegas Card Show
Holy cow.
is the Union Marketplace. So we got 2 weeks to just get nuts.
People are going to stay planted on the West Coast that week.
Yeah,
that was 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
All right.
So we're definitely going to have a lot of fun with that. So it looks like October's going to be a good time to get back to it.
Since Jay and I weren't there, can we ask you questions about the show? What was the biggest, best card that you saw there?
You're going to actually have, so let's be fair, I actually never really left the booth.
Oh.
So I was live on Whatnot. 90% of the weekend. I was on all day Saturday, and then we basically closed up Whatnot shop at 3 o'clock.
Cool.
And I spent an hour and a half preparing everything to go to the trade night, which was started at 6. So, we were constantly moving. But there were some big cards in the room.
Nice.
We saw and heard of some really, really big deals go down.
Awesome.
What was really neat is that there were surprisingly a lot of raw cards.
Okay.
Usually when you go to a big show, it's a ton of everything slabbed everywhere.
I'm a raw card guy.
And at this show,
I like a nice raw card.
there was a ton of raw cards.
I like that.
What I'll tell you, though, is the venue was great. It was really well spread out. There was good parking. It's near a freeway entrance, so it's easy to get on and off of. Outside of the $10 parking, which, again, people are always going to be upset with that. Outside of $10 parking, I think, for the most part, everybody enjoyed it.
Good.
There were some neat activations in the building, some fun things to do, and some great people. And of course, we saw some of our favorite, people in the industry out there, and we had fun. We hosted the break on Sunday, dollar pack auctions on Drip, and they gave away a John Morant slab, and so that was fun, and it was a really interactive thing with the entire room because we were live on the stage, and it was a lot of fun, and so we had a cool winner who won the slab, and the last pack went for $597.
Oh my Lord!
Contenders basketball. There was an auto left, so the last pack in the box had an auto. Plus, you were high bidder was going to get the John Morant.
Wow!
So,
Please tell me the auto was decent.
It was pretty cool. It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay. It was a silver, so at least it was
okay.
a silver.
All right,
And it was on card.
Reward
yeah.
points.
Oh no.
I know. Yeah, it was. Well, I cautioned, so we got down to one pack left.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, so on the box, guys, it does say 2 autographs
on average.
On average.
per box.
Yeah.
On average.
Right.
So,
good
that's
call.
the worst.
Good
when
disclaimer.
You're like, okay, there's
Yep.
one auto left. You're like, and it's Panini points.
Oh,
like,
boy.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. Someone who did not wait around to the end was Giannis. This guy right here couldn't get a shot off, passes the ball to himself and throws it
The
down.
man.
Triple-double, opened up as a heavy dog to the Celtics and showed them that, remember, they're the world champions.
Right.
Right.
Great point there. Great point
I mean,
there.
that was, if you wanted to put an exclamation point at the beginning of a series, that win yesterday was about as good as you could get with it.
I would have lost all my money because I would have would have thought Milwaukee would have done that without Middleton. Wow.
That's surprising without Middleton.
Yeah.
Like Giannis
It
has
is.
to go over that.
It is. And
I mean
Giannis is great, guys. I mean, we know that,
box
right?
score. Yeah.
And what happened? What exactly happens when this goes down, right? LeBron doesn't make the playoffs. KD looks pedestrian in the 4 games they lost, right? Some of your top young studs are looking like top young studs, but they all still have flaws in their game, right? Curry's shooting the lights out still.
Yeah, wow.
Right? And playing.
Embiid's missing game 1 and 2.
Right. Embiid's hurt again.
Yeah, boy,
right?
that's tough.
That's the thing. Like, Embiid's hurt again.
Tough.
And Joker showed you exactly. He's the best big man in the game, playing big man position. Because Giannis is a big man, but he doesn't play big man.
Towns, Towns could be up there, but he's not better than Jokic or Embiid.
Saying, right? But all those guys, they're not playing in the second round.
No, correct.
The guy that's playing in the second round is now currently, and I will say, the best player in the NBA, which is Giannis.
Probably is, yeah.
Right? And he is, and he's starting to separate away from everyone else. It's because what he did with the roster that he has to play with right now.
I mean, geez. I'm looking at this box score from yesterday. Holiday was good, but holy cow. I mean, what...
And Holiday,
Wes Matthews, I mean Grayson. If Grayson Allen's your third best player, you have no business winning a game. So that's unbelievable.
And all Grayson does is chuck up threes until he hits.
That's it. Yeah, he does.
He
does.
9,
he's he's been decent this playoffs, which is stunning to me. Stunning to me. But yeah, if he's your third best player since Middleton is out.
And how much time is he running? See,
he played 28 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, see, 28
Crazy.
minutes is that's a good number of minutes.
Yeah,
for them, so
it's nuts.
But the
Giannis is on a different level.
The difference is between the Nets and the Bucks is that those role players the Bucks have play defense.
Right, the Brooklyn plays.
That is a huge difference, right? Because the Celtics were all in KD's face in round one, and I don't think the Celtics defense is as good as the Bucks defense.
I disagree with you.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think overall. I think that they have better players defensively. The Celtics do. I just don't think overall they play better team defense. And because the Bucks have to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those guys don't have a role. Their role is simply 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got 5 minutes to protect X, Y, and Z.
I think the Bucks play harder than any
fair.
team in the league because... they are the world champs, but they have that underdog mentality. Still, Milwaukee,
They come from Milwaukee.
yeah. So I don't think anybody plays harder than Milwaukee. They're a team that there's teams in the NBA that take off nights in the regular season.
Yep.
Guys don't care. Milwaukee just doesn't do that. Giannis just doesn't
do that.
The
other team, and I hope we see this match. I really want to see this matchup. I love Celtics. I think the Celtics story's neat. I love it. I really would like to see the Heat
and Bucks. That would be a great series
because the other worker, there's two other worker teams that are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's the Heat and the Suns, right? So the worker teams are there.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the Heat are one of those teams.
Sure.
That'd
be a great matchup. That'd be a great matchup. Great matchup. Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker on that end on defense, Adebayo. That would be fantastic Eastern Conference Finals.
So let's go back to the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season starts. Favorites for everything were, you had what?
Ooh, I'd have to look. That's very curious to see the opening night odds.
The favorites at the beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Phoenix?
Brooklyn. Brooklyn was, I think, the number one. Yes. Okay.
Phoenix was number 3, I think.
Yeah.
The Bucks were 5th. And I want to say the 76ers were up there.
They could have been.
Right? I think the 76ers were up there.
Look.
Right? Because of Embiid. And that might be a thing. You know who wasn't in that top 8 to 10?
Dallas?
Of course.
Memphis?
Absolutely. Right? Which I thought Memphis was going to be up there, but not everybody had the same eyes that I did. And again, Memphis is a team, a small market. They didn't get a lot of games seen, and now people are doing it.
Right.
The same thing with the Timberwolves. People didn't think Minnesota was going to be that good. Right. But it's a team that we always talk about, and that's the Warriors.
Right. Oh, true.
Right?
Yeah.
The Warriors weren't talked about. And on top of it, their big draft pick, their big guy, the guy that was supposed to make a big deal, he was hurt. Right? Draymond got hurt.
Yep.
Right? Right at the beginning of the season,
Yep.
Draymond gets hurt. Klay Thompson has already been out and hurt.
Yep.
And guess who we hear from last night? This guy right here. Now, we heard from him good and bad. This is the good. He drains the 3. Klay Thompson drops the 3. right there with less than 30 seconds left in the game, right, to take the 1 point lead, and then proceeds to play defense, and the defensive set they ran in the last 30 seconds of that game against Memphis, because I went back and watched it last night, I was shocked how tight they played. They were in everybody's face.
They clamped.
And that is not a normal style for them to be so pressed up on everybody. And they were. It was almost like it kind of threw the Grizzlies off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's coaching, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, but there's the resiliency again. Warriors bounce back, and they're the favorites.
They are the favorites right now. Yep. And I pulled up the opening night odds here. Yeah. We forgot a team. I can't believe it. Who was number 2? The Lakers.
Nice.
Nets, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Jazz were the five favorites from according to FanDuel.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
You wouldn't have bet that because you know the Jazz failed.
Oh my God! How bad are they? They're done. They're going to blow that team up. And who's going to go? Donovan or Rudy? Have to. It's probably going to be Rudy. Lakers were 2.
The face of the franchise is Donovan.
Lakers were 2. Celtics were 13th. Grizzlies 16th. Wow.
Klay Thompson turned around and missed. They're fourth.
Okay, so they're fourth.
Klay Thompson turned around and missed the 2 free throws also to give
Tyson.
Yeah. Well, that was the cover.
Yes.
He blows those.
Yep.
He blows those 2 free throws, and that's a bad.
That's how it works. Bad beat right there.
That's what a bad beat is called.
Yep.
Because you got Klay Thompson coming to the line and they're already up by 1, and you need these 2 free throws. You're like, this is money. Klay Thompson free throws.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he misses both of them, and you're probably just like sitting there like, wow, like you're just shocked.
Yeah.
Like I've had those times where you're shocked.
So now we got Luka.
Yeah. All right.
Phoenix. Right? Luka's going to tip off in Phoenix, and there goes his card market. Guy that I heard mentioned a lot this weekend.
Yeah, was he?
Doncic was mentioned a lot this weekend.
I imagine.
Kind of heard it trickling.
Sure.
Are you doing this for Jimmy personally?
No. I'm just telling you. I mean, he's got skin in the game for sure. But what I'm saying is, we went out a month and a half ago now, and he said, in the investment segment, what do? Buy Luka now, buy him at the bottom, mid him. Okay, you found your mid.
Yeah, because he needs to make that run in the playoffs.
Yeah, and now all you have to do is win a series. Yeah. He won a series. He wins 2 series. He wins this series. Then there's going to be crazy talk about Luka.
For sure, because with Booker banged up, it kind of opens the door.
Boy, I would almost.
Can I mention?
Booker says he's playing tonight. I mean,
I know, but how effective is he going to be?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like having a running back
I'm
saying,
surprised.
I'm going to play, but my knee's jacked. Like, it's like, how effective are you going to be?
Yeah, he could just decoy. I don't know.
This is something I heard this morning coming in, and it kind of blew my mind. Did you know that Chris Paul has scored 36 or more points in closing games in the playoffs?
Wow. No. I mean, he was insane.
There is no way that you would put, if I told you right now, make a top 10 list of the best closers in basketball, Chris Paul would not even be on your runner-up list.
I wouldn't. I mean, I hate Chris Paul.
You don't think of him that way.
You don't like
he's a little gnat to me.
I don't,
Just like how he was in L.A. with the Clippers and screaming at DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin and shut up.
But you
exactly.
don't. But you don't think.
And he never won. So what? You're trying to be a leader, but you've never won.
Right.
So what are you? Where are you coming?
And he had those great New Orleans teams, and they can never win. It's like I don't know. I don't like Chris Paul personally, so that's why I wouldn't have. I get your point. Yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
You don't have him in that discussion, but honestly,
the
guy can close games apparently.
How about what on First Take, Mad Dog and Stephen A going nuts. Stephen A saying Chris Paul is the greatest point guard ever, and Mad Dog going crazy. Magic saying Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
So that Chris Paul to even be in that discussion as the greatest point guard ever. I mean, he's very, very good, but. I mean, is there another stat right there that might show, wow, he might be one of the greatest point guards ever?
That's the type thing. And then you also have to look at, he had some rosters he played with.
Hey, some great teams.
That weren't very good rosters.
Well, look what recently, right? He goes to Houston.
Yeah.
They are very good, right? Then he gets traded to a horrendous Oklahoma City team.
Right.
They were projected to be one of the worst teams in the league that year. Yeah. They make the playoffs. And then he gets shipped out the next year, goes to Phoenix. And what do? I mean, it's like, wow. It's pretty impressive what he's done at the latter half of his career, but he's never won.
And why has he been traded so many times?
There's another thing, right? He's got that massive contract, and he's just kind of like...
He's not a locker room guy.
Right. He rubs people the wrong way, right?
That's what it portrays to me. He's not a locker room guy. People don't want to be around the guy. You're not a winner, and so like, how can you say you're a leader?
Right. I think the Oklahoma City trade and what he did with Shea kind of maybe turned it around for him. Like, hey, I'm at the end of my career. I just got traded again. I'm getting this whole. We're projected to be one of the worst teams in the league, and I think that's where he finally maybe grew up a little bit. I hate to say grow up a little bit because the guy's old, but that was the Oklahoma City thing is where I was like, wow, because that team. I mean, you have to look at that roster, and they were like a 5 or 6 seed in the West that year. I know it was the bubble year, but still. Unbelievable. So
and that's exactly it. And again, his card market won't realize from that.
Is his card market even any good? I'd like to look on Card Ladder.
And you know what? While we're doing that, let's get into the plus or minus portion of the segment.
There we go.
This is where we actually give you guys some advice on your collection or how you guys can invest into it. And staying in basketball while you're looking that up, the guy I want to talk about today, Jalen Brunson, right? Every year, it seems that you have a guy in the playoffs that kind of comes out of nowhere and like kind of gets everyone excited. Now, the guy that is doing that is Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
But if you follow us, you'll know that we told you to buy Jordan Poole about week 5 of the season, maybe
really
4.
early on, yeah.
We were really early on Jordan Poole.
Because we talked about with Klay Thompson coming back, and when he does, well, that eat into Poole's playing time, and it really didn't.
Right, and we talked about how that would balance out. We talked about that in the fantasy perspective. We were way ahead on this. I will absolutely blow our horns for it. We were ahead on Poole for sure. Poole is obviously the guy, but Jalen Brunson, I hear everybody talking about Jalen Brunson. You have Jalen Brunson stuff is very low priced. You can pick Jalen Brunson stuff up. However, as soon as that team is out of the playoffs this year, remember that it's Jalen Brunson.
So listen to here, Brunson right here. His 2018 Prism PSA 10 rookie in the last month is up 220%.
Correct.
Unbelievable.
And I honestly don't think it'll realize and hold that value.
No.
So my advice to you is, if you're buying a Jalen Brunson today because you think he will be in the next round of the playoffs and you can sell it in the middle of the next round of the playoffs, go ahead for that short.
Low pop count on that Prism rookie too. Very low pop count. Yep.
You know what the reason is?
He came out of nowhere.
Nobody submitted him.
Sure.
Right? So there's not a lot of slabbed up. There's a lot of raw cards up there right now. Which is
That's
also
incredible.
another thing you have to take into consideration. If you're buying this for a quick flip, are you going to Super Express this?
Right.
Are you going to spend $300 to Super Express a Jalen Brunson card so you can turn around and sell it?
Right.
The pop's under 100, so maybe you do that. If you're sitting on a nice Prism Silver, I mean, look at 2 months ago you could get it for $30. Now it's $130.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So you might make that move, but it's definitely a short-term thing. It is not in any ways a long-term situation. Now, to answer the Chris
Paul is up 7% in the last week. So his PSA 10 rookie card 2005 tops is about $267 right now, so up 7%.
And so people are talking about
a Hall of Famer.
That's pretty good.
Talking about him, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's a guy that will be talked about for a long time. I just, unfortunately, I feel like his market is going to realize a lot like Jason Kidd's.
Sure, yeah.
And unfortunately, Jason Kidd's just not very collectible.
Man, not at all.
Because Kid retired, and he's obviously a Hall of Famer, and he's a coach.
And he coaches, and he's still relevant.
So he's still around, and no one cares about his.
Very interesting.
It just, those guys, they don't produce the biggest highlights. They don't run off, 8 straight games of, leading the league in points or whatever it might be. And those things matter because you remember we're in a day and age now too where people actually are looking into it from a standpoint of how does it look overall aesthetically, not just in the moment.
So would you scoop up a crit if you're the investment?
It's a very long term.
Would you scoop one up in hopes he win a championship and then flip it?
I mean, you could, but even if he wins a championship, what's the upside investment?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to go up.
How much is your return on investment here?
Do you know what?
10%? Is 10% worth it?
Probably not. You know what a good comparison is? People are talking about Matt. They said Matt Stafford cards are just in the toilet.
Right.
So maybe a great comparison. Older guy, never won a championship, wins a championship. His cards spike for a second, and then they're right back down in the toilet.
And let's talk about great comparison of player. That's a fantastic comparison. The two of them, there's nobody in the hobby that believes that they're helping their team win or they're better than someone that can replace them.
That's right.
And that's ultimately what it is.
Yep.
So you got to keep that in mind. So my suggestion in that was, if you're buying Chris Paul for a quick, I wouldn't suggest it because there's not enough return on investment quick enough.
That makes sense.
That quick flip has got to be that 25
Sure.
to 30% to really make tying my money up now to turn around and put the effort in right away to move it.
Right.
To do it. Now we're gonna get into baseball on the investment side, and I have to preface this with, guys, sometimes you're wrong.
Uh-oh.
I've been wrong before.
Uh-oh.
I've been wrong before. I feel like I'm there's one I'm going to eat crow, I think, down the road. But I think I think this is an area, and this is not where I've been wrong, and I've come out and said, do this, do that, whatever. This is a situation where a few people contacted me directly saying, hey, what do you think of this guy? And I'm like, I'm not really sold and all that. But I also was going off of the aesthetics of it and not necessarily really digging deep. And I did. And that's Mr. Marco Luciano of the San Francisco Giants. 2019 draft class is Bowman first is right there with that. 2019. This kid comes from the Dominican Prospect League. He's another one of those kids that comes over, and I personally am not a huge believer in development by the Giants. I don't think they develop their young position players that well. They'll get lucky every once in a while, or they'll get a handoff where they'll get a guy from an organization
that's already been developed.
That already is fairly developed. Yeah. The Austin Martin trade for the Blue Jays to the Twins, right? The Twins are going to end up bringing him up, but the development is right. Luciano, I just didn't really think it was going to be that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Over his professional career to this point, he has 634 plate appearances or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's hitting 277 with 34 home runs and 112 driven in. That is the equivalent of a major league season.
Sounds good to me.
He is right on par with where he should be in development to be a above average player in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
He is hitting 324 this season already. He is moving quickly, and I was wrong.
You said he was going to be bad?
I said I didn't believe in him. I didn't think it was. I'm coming back now and saying I was wrong. I would probably suggest grabbing some Luciano. I think he's a guy that probably can sustain this. I think he's shown that he can sustain this. He is not going to win a batting title when he comes to the league, but he's going to be in the argument with everybody at the top home run hitters. He's going to play in a fun ballpark. He's definitely going to be a Giant. They're going to make way for him, and he's going to be a face of that franchise because right now, who is?
Yeah, there is nobody.
Right? Who is? So all the things that you want, good market, San Francisco, they're fanatics, huge fan base, they win, they've got a winning culture, all those things that you need, this kid's going to be there.
So from an investment standpoint, I pulled up his card ladder here.
Yeah.
For the last 3 months, he's down 17%, but when you shoot to the last month, he's up 5.5%.
Right. So guys are trending to buy him, but not enough people know about him.
I mean, you could scoop up a Pop 10, his first Bowman Chrome PSA 10 right now for $60, where a year ago it was going for almost $120.
Yeah. And
maybe a nice pickup, like you said.
Exactly. And so right now is a good time to be able to get him because people are talking about all these other players, right? And we're starting to see this, and we're going to roll into fantasy today because we're starting to see the efforts that we put in on the investment side with baseball. Because baseball's term prospecting. We're not buying Luciano today. This is the thing. You're not buying Luciano today to flip it next week, 3 weeks, 6 months from now. You're buying Luciano to get up there and to have a half of a major league season under his belt and him being talked about Rookie of the Year. And then that's when you're going to want to move those cards.
Yes.
Right? That's where you're gonna realize that.
So at 67 right now, it's a nice pickup, you feel?
Absolutely, 100%.
Good to know.
Another guy that you should absolutely be grabbing. The unrealized name, the guy you don't really think about in the trade from the A's, right? When Olsen went to the A's, everybody knows Pache came back. There were some pieces that went with it. Shea Langeliers. Shea went back with Pache and is currently playing here in Vegas for the Aviators. And Langeliers is on fire. And the guy is hitting. And there's something to be said about the guy hitting because he was known as a defensive catcher. And Contreras was in his way because, I keep saying it. I think Soderstrom, when he comes up, will be the best, even though he's only hitting $167 right now. But I'm not worried about that. But he was not going to play. So they move him to the A's. He's definitely going to play for the A's. This guy will make his major league debut this season. Mark words.
Okay.
This guy's going to make his major league debut this season. And he might be making his major league debut for a team that's actually competitive.
Wow.
Because the A's have actually been competitive this year.
Oh, we always are. It's just it's very early, Steve.
His cards are very cheap.
Incredibly cheap.
Yes.
So I was making a comment that I kind of kicked myself in the rear because I knew better. But we, as a shop, sold a PSA 10 orange auto of him in Atlanta when we were at Culture Collusion.
The Bowman?
Yeah.
Those are out of 25, aren't they?
For
the oranges?
Nothing.
Oh, no.
Right? Yeah. And it was really, really low, and the guy was excited. I think he'll be good. He was talking about him being a Brave, and I'm like, the guy will never play for the Braves, and I was right. Yeah, it's good to be right. And
but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know when these guys are going to go somewhere else.
Some of these guys you never know, but that was the opportunity. But I'm going to tell you, he is definitely going to be not just on the roster. He is going to play this year. He will be brought up. He is going to play for the A's this year. He's a very, very good player. He's tearing it up here. Now, you made the comment that PCL is.
I did. PCL is where pitchers go for their ERAs that die.
Okay.
Oh, no.
PCL, the Pacific Coast League, is not a place known for low ERAs and good pitching. So that has something to factor into it a little bit because this guy's never been known as like a real big hitter. He's been a defensive catcher, and that's how he was going to get to the big show was by his defense, right? Which you see a lot of times with catchers. You do see that. And also Aviator Stadium, Las Vegas Ballpark, is like a launching pad.
Oh, yeah.
So looking at
it's a bandbox, yeah.
So looking at it from the standpoint of that, you say, okay, there's a chance that maybe some of his power numbers will be a little inflated, but not the average, right?
The average should.
Hitting the baseball is still
the
hitting
home
the baseball.
runs, yes.
Right. So don't look at it from the power number standpoint, but with catchers, you don't need to. Now, catchers don't crazy realize in the hobby, but they do pick up some value. And this is a guy that he's so low right now, and that's what Johnny's saying.
Whoa.
He's so low right now.
Hit PSA 10 refractor of his first Bowman sold yesterday. PSA 10 refractor, not base. It's $40.
So you guys can buy this stuff incredibly cheap right now.
Yeah.
And you may only be holding it for a month.
Yeah.
So this is another one of the short-term investments.
You can get his first Bowman auto for $35. Wow, that's a buy. As soon as we get out of this studio, get me on my eBay page.
Exactly. So that's exactly what you're looking at, is that there's an opportunity right now to be able to grab this guy. Huge potential upside in it, very little risk, right? This is one of those. These don't stare you in the face often. I gave you one a few weeks ago. I did. I went out and I gave you one a few weeks ago. And to do that, let's get into Jay's Fantasy Roundup. All right, Jay's Fantasy Roundup. This is our graphic move. I'm running.
Jay doesn't miss.
We're doing it again. Doing it again. We had a problem with it. We're doing it again. Jay said do it again. All right, here we go. Jay's Fantasy Roundup. Let's go, Jay.
All right, so
here we go.
So we just talked about your plus and minus investments, right? So I want to talk about a few guys to keep an eye on because we're hearing a lot of traction about some of these guys that are getting the early call-ups, right?
Right.
So two guys right off the jump, MJ Melendez. He was just brought up from the minors. He's a catcher with the Kansas City Royals, and he was brought in to fill some time for injuries. So keep an eye on this guy. These are guys that weren't drafted in your fantasy drafts, but these are guys that could make some waves. Also, Jose Miranda, third base for the Twins. They may keep Kirilloff on the rehab assignment. They just came out and said, like we were talking about last week, how Kirilloff might be coming off of IL. Well, they may keep him in rehab a little bit longer. Kyle Garlick just got a strained calf, which opens up the door for the Twins' third base job. So keep an eye on Jose Miranda being called up in the next few days. Another guy to keep an eye on. This is a guy that you just mentioned. This is what you wanted to roll in. Nolan Gorman.
That's right.
Okay, Nolan Gorman was a third base prospect for the Cardinals.
Correct.
Now, obviously, he can't play third base for the Cardinals right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Nope.
So what they're talking about doing is the guys that they have playing shortstop are struggling both at the plate and in the field. So they're talking about moving their second baseman, remind me his name again, Edmund?
Yeah, Tommy Edmonds.
Tommy Edmonds. Okay, so they're talking about moving him to shortstop to
Correct.
fill that need and getting Nolan Gorman some playing time at
And
second
they
base.
immediately flipped Gorman. Gorman was getting some work in the outfield.
Yes.
And over the last 10 days, he moved into getting time at AAA at second base.
Correct, because
So-
they're grooming him to be ready to come
Correct.
up to the majors. So he hasn't been called
And
up
his
yet.
positional, because they do it, they update it
Mhm.
on their rosters, which updates it, Baseball Reference and
Yes.
all that. And he immediately updated to third base / second base.
I love it.
Right.
So you know the move is coming, right?
So the move's coming, and on top of it, the reason we're saying this is because it was only 3 weeks ago
yes.
that we came out and said, go buy Nolan Gorman.
Now.
Actually, 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And now it looks like he may actually be coming up, and they may be looking to work a reason
Yep.
to have him on the roster.
He
He's
just had
rushing.
a long hitting streak snapped yesterday. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, too, I was watching it and I can't remember if it was 13. It was either a 13 or a 16 game hitting streak snapped yesterday.
And we joked about the RBIs, and then he started going off.
Yeah, and then the only knock against him was the
Yeah.
strikeouts. That was the only
Yeah.
knock. But that's what you give the power hitter, right? But this is a guy that's made for the major leagues. He will be coming up very soon. Go and grab this guy and stash him, especially if you have dead weight on your roster. If you have dead weight to sit on your roster, go grab somebody that could be the National League Rookie of the Year. You never know what this
Yeah.
guy's going to happen. And to mention the American League Rookie of the Year process, Tristan Casas, the first baseman for Boston.
Yeah.
They're getting tired of Bobby Dahlbeck. They said they're just getting tired of his shortcomings, is basically what they're saying. They've already sent his counterpart, which I think was Shaw, back down for rehab assignment. So he's out of there. So that platoon opens up the door for Tristan Casas to be called up. So that's going to be happening very soon as well. And these are guys that you can get right now for super cheap. Get rid of the dead weight on your roster and just let the guys sit there and marinate for a couple days, right?
Yeah.
Couple weeks. See what happens. This guy's going to be Rookie of the Year candidate.
And Casas is another one that I came out and that was almost a month ago.
Yeah.
And said, buy Tristan Casas.
Yes.
He's an absolute. I don't know that he'll play long term for Boston, but he will come up. If they lose faith in Dahlbeck, then
Yes.
Dahlbeck will be the one moved. Either
Right.
way, one of the two of them will be moved because there's no reason to have both of them there, even though they can platoon it. Red Sox Nation, unfortunately, isn't going to allow that. You're going to
No.
have a first baseman.
So that's
He is,
five.
you
That's
know.
5 guys to look at in fantasy that probably weren't drafted
Yeah.
on your teams that are all getting ready to either bump up to major league rosters or they just did get bumped up. So you got Melendez, Miranda, Nolan Gorman, Langoliers that we just talked about a minute ago, and Tristan Casas. All be on the lookout for those guys. And if you have dead weight, cut the dead weight. Cut the dead weight and go grab these guys and just sit on them.
Now, I'm sure this guy has probably already been added as a closer, or if not, will be being added this week
I look.
as a
He's
closer.
he's mostly snapped
Check
up
this
already.
guy out. This is
You
the
see this?
whole thing.
No.
All right, so this is Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals. He registered 103.1 yesterday. Came back and registered another one at 102 on a strikeout. Right?
That's funny. I was looking up the
I
most
believe-
added players for Jay to
He's
weigh in
gotta
on.
be
He's
there.
number 1.
And then
Most added players,
and
yeah.
then 101.3 on the final pitch of the inning. This guy, electric fastball. He's got a couple other things to mix in. I don't talk about pitchers a lot because from an investment standpoint, pitchers aren't very good
Right.
to invest into. But from a fantasy standpoint,
Yes.
my suggestion is get all in because the Cardinals play a ton of one-run games.
Yes.
And even if the guy doesn't close for you, he's going to be getting holds for you.
There you go.
And he's going to be getting strikeouts for
Love
you.
a good holds guy. That was
Right?
like my favorite category
So
in
those,
fantasy
those
baseball.
two guys, like those are an opportunity. A guy like this is an opportunity
Yeah.
for you to grab a guy. You're going to grab him before this circles, but I promise you, as you said, what's the percentage?
He's owned in only 26% of leagues.
Okay.
Right.
26% as of now.
Yep.
And there are people listening to this running and adding them to their
Yeah,
roster
it'll be
right
100%
now.
after this.
So I would suggest you get out there today, right this moment. This is probably the only opportunity you're going to have in the pitching this year
Yeah.
to be able to add a guy that can literally change your pitching
Yeah.
on your fantasy team in one addition.
Especially with the strikeouts.
Yeah.
The strikeouts
He's going to
are
be
huge.
unreal.
Yeah.
16 and 8 innings. It's pretty
16
impressive.
strikeouts in 8
Yeah.
innings. So he's averaging 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty
the
ridiculous.
Pretty
guy
good.
is unreal. It's you know, and it's not a surprise. So he had high velocity in the minor leagues, right? But in minor leagues, whenever you hear high velocity of a guy, and they say, "Oh, this guy he hit 103.5." No. We've seen that guy come in, and all he does is sit at 101, 102. Now, this is weird because 15 years ago we weren't talking about 100 plus. Now it's a thing, right? But this kid throws hard. It's good stuff. It's got a little movement, and he's accurate. That's the thing. A lot of times when you get a guy like this, he's a little wild, right?
Well, like
Remember
Chapman.
Chapman.
Chapman was he's not the most accurate guy in the world.
This kid is pretty accurate. He's not going to come in and put himself in the stretch a lot and walk a guy. He goes right after you. He's not. He's going to sit at 101. He's not going to sit at 97.
Right.
He's going to sit at 101.
Right. When you're sitting at 101, you're basically daring the guy, like, I'm going to throw 100 miles an hour. Can you hit it?
Yeah.
Can you hit it or
Literally
not?
get ready to go right now. And it was funny because Marte on that 103, Marte almost looks like he's trying to get out of the way. He can't see it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this dude has a changeup at all, like, if he has a changeup, it's forget it.
Well, and if you think about it,
you're going for 103, and all of a sudden this guy's going to make you look like an idiot.
Think of what the Cardinals organization has done with some pedestrian, pitchers. They've turned them into decent pieces.
Yeah.
Right? So they also know how to coach and give some advice and some suggestions. So he's in a good spot. He's in a great spot. But that team's going to play a lot of one-run games. And I think that's going to be really important here. So, guys, long show today.
Yeah.
But totally worth it. Draft was here.
We had the draft here.
Spent 30 minutes on that. Gotta love it.
We did.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys being here. Of course, we got new product that's planned to come out. Watch our social media for that.
It's huge.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's huge.
It's huge, and you guys have already seen that and already started to see it go. Whatnot shows off and rocking. Jay Up will be on today, 1 o'clock. Jay will be on Whatnot. Running football. We'll figure out what football. Might be a break today. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll be running football today. Of course, Johnny Rip.
I'll be on right after.
People were asking about your WWE stream, bro. They were
Come
asking
on,
about it.
really?
They were asking me about
I
it.
did it. I did
They
it.
love it.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to go out of there. I'm going to say it right now. Number 1 in the game, WWE, Johnny.
Right here.
Rip.
That's a blast. I love ripping it.
It's so fun.
I love ripping it.
There is no one better, guys, and I'm not saying that because I really like the guy. I'm saying that because it's true.
It is fun.
Right? The guy is the absolute best in the game when it comes to WWE.
And AEW, all pro wrestling. Let's just say all pro wrestling.
All circuits.
I ripped an AEW hobby box for one of our customers today. Massive hobby box, so that was fun. So,
That's
guys,
awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you guys for being part of the program. And if there's anything we can do for you, of course, please let us know. Trade night this Wednesday. Here's all the details.